So you're an entrepreneur who just made a crazy profitable business. You put it up for sale and you can't wait for all of that capital to come in. Then nothing happens. Hey everyone, it's Greg Frank here. So today I am talking about this concept that is frustrating for sellers, and that is the concept where they put in all this hard work to sell their business. They've gone through, say, our vetting process, they get listed on the marketplace, and then it's just kind of crickets. Like, no one is really looking at your business, or you're not having good talks with people. And this is something that can happen for a few different reasons. So I want to go over just a few quick things why a buyer may not be interested in buying your business at all. So you can use this, whether you use us or go off and sell privately, you can use this to your advantage to drive more interest for buyers looking at your business. So the first problem, and this doesn't happen too much on our marketplace because we have a whole vetting team, but it is extremely common when it comes to private deals and also with other brokers, I would say. Not all of them, but a few of them do this. And that is simply pricing your business too high. Sometimes entrepreneurs have a very outsized vision of what you're worth, and you might be in that camp. If you keep getting buyers that are lowballing you all the time, then you might be overpriced. And that's actually quite common for an entrepreneur to do, is to overprice themselves. And the reason why we do this is because of what I call emotional equity, where we just are so in love with our own business, with what it has given us, what it has done for our life, that we actually value it far more than just what the financial numbers are telling us. Well, buyers, they're only looking at the financial numbers, right? They don't necessarily care about all the wonderful things that your business was able to do for them. So keep this in mind when you're selling a business, and try to be more flexible on your price. Now, there is something very, very important here to understand. If you are suffering from emotional equity, there is something that can happen when you go and sell your business privately that's very bad for you. So in the situation I was just describing, where buyers are giving you really lowball offers, probably pissing you off a little bit, this will eventually wither you down to where you're like, you know what, fine, I will sell it for this amount. Fine, just take it from me, right? You get into that kind of mode, and that is a very disempowering, weak mode to be in as an entrepreneur. And this is a buyer strategy that they use. In fact, this is the reason why buyers love if you go sell privately, because they know they're probably going to whittle you down and get your motivation down to eventually where you accept their price, right? And now they get a screaming deal, and you got to sell your business for way less than it's worth. Because usually what happens in private scenarios with this is you start off super high, buyer comes in super low, whittles you down, they're coming up a little bit, you're coming down, and then eventually you're just like, fine, I'll sell it right here. When you really could have sold it right here if you went with a broker and listen to our advice, right? Because we know what a buyer will actually be willing to pay. It's in our sales data. We do it every day of the week, right? So you want to be careful of that trap. But in general, if you are getting a lot of lowball offers, your business might be overpriced. And there's a couple things you can do. You could just, lower the price, obviously. Don't lower it all the way to what the buyer is saying usually. Or you can get some expert advice. You could use something like our valuation tool, which is 100% for free. That gives, I'll link it down below. It gives you a rough ballpark estimate of what your online business is going to be worth. Obviously, that is a automated tool, so it won't give you the exact number of what it's truly worth, but it'll help you out, right? And that will be useful whether you use us or do a private deal to give you a ballpark estimate of your value. And you can play with the numbers from there. But flexibility on price is key. Don't overvalue your business. Don't overthink the value of your business. Really look at your business as if you have no attachment to it and you're the one looking at buying it. Would you buy it for that price? You might instantly say, yes, of course, it's fantastic, but really step back from that business and look at it more pragmatically. All right, so the next issue I see that really scares away buyers is the complexity of your business. Now, everyone likes simplicity. I am a very simple man myself when it comes to what I want to do, how I want to grow the marketing at EF, all that kind of stuff. I try to keep things simple, even if the strategy is complex. But some of our businesses, they become bloated with complexity, and this could be okay. I mean, complex businesses obviously sell, and so do simple businesses. But the thing that might be messing you up is your business is too complex for the valuation. So I'll give you an extreme example. So these are examples that, an example I've really seen that we wouldn't sell on our marketplace, or at least I don't believe we've ever sold anything like this on our marketplace. And that is something that is worth, say, $100,000. So a pretty small business, right? And it has 100 different products. So imagine that, an Amazon FBA business worth only $100,000 with 100 different SKUs. Just the sheer complexity of managing the supply chain, the inventory, the fulfillment, the marketing, all of it is a bit much for 100 grand. I mean, that's insane. Obviously, this is an extreme example. I've seen the real life examples I've seen are more like, maybe it's a $300,000 business with 50 SKUs, something like that. Still too much. And when a buyer is looking at your business, what they're really wanting is a machine, an income machine that can be scalable, right? That is something that we talk about all the time on the channel, scalable income machines. That's the beautiful part of buying and selling businesses, is that they're these machines that just print money for you, right? So if that machine is too complex to run, the buyer is going to look for a simpler machine to buy, right? They want leverage. They don't want complexity. They want an investment, not a job where it makes them scratch their head on what they're going to do, right? So anything you do, like if you find yourself in this situation, I would highly recommend looking to simplify the business as much as you can. And there's probably a bunch of stuff you can do. In fact, in the example I'm giving right now with the 50 different products at 300K, I imagine a good chunk of those 50 products are making a lot of money. So you might be better killing even a profitable product, a product that is bringing in a little bit of profit every month. You might be better off killing that product completely and taking the money you were using to source and promote that product and rolling that purely into promoting your best winners and lowering down the amount of products you actually sell, so your business becomes a lot simpler. And my guess is if you did that, your business would actually grow probably a lot faster because it's more focused, it's more consolidated. So you would actually end up selling your business for a higher valuation with more buyers being interested, right? So this is one thing I highly recommend. Look at your business and ask yourself, is this too complex? Is that why a buyer might not be interested in it? It's just too complex to see, to make it worthwhile, basically, to spend the money to buy it. All right, the next one is something some of my entrepreneur friends have done, and it makes it extremely hard to sell a business. And it's very counterintuitive because you would think if you did this, it would actually be, make your business more interesting, but it does the opposite effect. And that is over optimizing, where you optimize every aspect of your business perfectly. If you're a fan of Tim Ferriss and all the kind of biohacking and crazy stuff he does to optimize his own life, you might be in this camp. You might be one of those guys or one of those women who just optimize their businesses to the nth degree, And so you might think, well, that sounds great. I can sell my business for the highest price possible because it's completely optimized revenue machine, right? In theory, you're right. In practice, you are wrong, because buyers don't like a business that is completely optimized. They want something that they can clearly see. Okay, here's a bunch of potential. Here's stuff that they left on the table that I can do, or I can fix, right? So this is a big reason why I always say it's a good idea for you to talk about the wounds and the mistakes and the failures of your business, because this is a way of selling your business on potential to a buyer without actually selling them on potential. You're not saying like, hey, this is the next billion-dollar idea, and they're like, yeah, whatever. You're instead saying like, hey, my Amazon PPC ads are terrible because I have no clue what I'm doing with it. So I kind of stopped, or I let this one campaign run because it's somewhat profitable, but I really don't know. And to a buyer who is a master of Amazon PPC, they're looking over here like, this is a golden goose opportunity because I have an entire team dedicated to Amazon PPC. We'll kill it if we buy this business, right? So you're building the potential in their mind. If your business is so over optimized, there's just no obvious potential. Now, I'm not saying that there's no potential, right? I think most people, even businesses that are heavily optimized, like what I'm describing here, most likely still has a ton of potential if you think differently. Like if you have a big enough vision, there's probably tons of different things you can do potential-wise. But we're talking about your average, buyer looking at your listing, right? Maybe they're not digging super deep into your business because it looks too optimized to them, and there's just no clear, easy wins for them to do when they take over the business. Because remember, it's not just about you making money by you selling the business. The buyer also needs to see a reasonable way where they could be making money for going through the hassle and the risk involved in acquiring you. So this last point that I just talked about leads right into the next point, and that is an unclear roadmap. So if a buyer is talking to you and they say, well, what would you be doing if I don't buy the business? Like, what would you be doing to grow? And your answer is like, I don't know. That's bad, because like even you don't see the potential of where the business is going, right? Now, I'm not saying you need to have like this insane plan, this insane growth hacking plan that will, take your business to the moon to give to the buyer, but you should have some clear idea of what you can do to grow the business. And this is what I like to call a roadmap. And the roadmap is something you can give to the buyer. It could be as simple as just a Google Doc sheet showing the different phases of what you are going to plan to do. So that way the buyer sees your roadmap. And then what's that going to do? It does a few things. One, it shows them that they clearly see that you think the business still has potential. That's a good sign to a buyer, right? They like it when sellers like, hey, I just don't want to run this, but I see tons of different things you can do with it, right? They like that because that helps them think that there really is potential. One, seeing your, or two, I guess, seeing your actual ideas for growth allows them to have a roadmap that's easily accessible from day one. When they take over your business, they can literally just follow your roadmap and go down that path if they wanted to. And three, what it does for them is it gets their own mind turning on what is possible, because so much of growing a business and scaling a business is kind of this creative diaspora, if you will, of like interrelated ideas hitting each other, right? So like I say something about SEO that might trigger you on something with email marketing, and those two things combine and leads to this awesome growth strategy, right? So you're helping them come up with their own ideas just by sharing your ideas. And if they come up with enough ideas, guess what? They're probably going to be pretty interested in your business. So one of my final points here is basically flexibility. And this goes to the very first point that I was mentioning earlier when it comes to price, but it doesn't have to be just on price. When it comes to selling your business, you got to understand this is a dance. This is all about being flexible. You want to be not rigid, you want to be open-minded, and you want to understand where the buyers are coming from. What are they trying to achieve? It's not just about you making money on the exit. It's also about them making money. And who is taking the bigger risk here? You selling the business or them buying the business? Of course, them. They're about to put $500,000, $2 million, $4 million, $5 million down on your business, and you're going to walk away scot-free, right? They're taking the risk away from you. Their position is a lot more stressful in that regard than yours, because you already understand how the machine works. You built the machine, right? They have to spend all this money just to get access to the machine that may or may not work for them, right? So understand where they're coming from and be flexible. When it comes to negotiations, a lot of people approach these things as showdowns, like, oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get the highest price. He's not going to lowball me, And this is a terrible way to approach almost everything in life. It is much better to approach your negotiations not as a showdown, but as a collaboration. Forget about the cowboys meeting in the main street and think about the two people collaborating on a building. That's more what it's like. That's what you're really doing. So with that said, I hope you got a lot of advice out of here. If you did like this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. It really helps. And I will talk to you later. Bye.